Hello and welcome back. Today we have part 4 of Fanhome's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord. If you've seen the other videos, you'll know that this is a week by week / month by month builder figure essentially, which at the end of it we will get a combining Megazord from Power Rangers. This is issue 4. So let's take a look. So issue 4 has our Mastodon head, and something I did notice, we will quickly pull out, is that the magazines actually have essentially a rotor. So what you will see is that one issue will have the Megazord head, next issue will have the Tyrannosaurus, Sabretooth, Mastodon, and then they loop again. It's possible that the other Zords, so the Pterodactyl and Triceratops, may appear on the covers in future issues, but at the moment those are the appearances, and this is how the magazines are appearing. Anyway, here we have issue 4. Open it up, we get our legal, our parts contents, build instructions, a bio on Rita this time, episode summary of a pressing engagement, and then behind the scenes. And that's issue 4. So let's move our previous parts to one side, and then we will take a look at our parts, get this open, and we will start assembling. See, here we have some more electronics and the base for our Sabretooth Tiger head, and what appears to be a remote control and charging cable, presumably so that once all of these are connected up, these will work with the lights or sounds or whatever it is the electronics are actually doing at the end of it. Let's get this opened. So this is our final issue, which is actually on cardback. The rest are being delivered in sealed bags, as you might have seen in my last video before. I'm not a big fan of the plastic trays. I definitely much prefer what Hache or however they're pronounced are doing their Dalek build, which I've also got videos on. Okay, I'm going to get this turned around and then we'll get to assembly. And here we have our parts. So we get 4 bags this time, one with some rubber washers, 2 little ring nuts, and then 2 bags of screws, which are PMW screws, PM screws, and PWB screws. Remember, never mix up your screws because you will need them, or need specific ones for specific parts of the build. Alright, contents wise, we will have Sabretooth Tiger's right head, some internal structuring of the head, eyepiece, jaw. Looks like there is a switch of some kind, circuit board, charging cable, a base plate, a head support pin, our rubber washers, screws, and a remote control. So, part 1, we will be continuing with our Megazord head. So initially you will need fit switch 4.8. Now this bit's actually wrong. It says 4.8, but 4.8 is the charging cable. I believe what you actually need is the switch, which is 4.6, which is this one. Here is a very tiny power switch, and it is power switch. It's got the power symbol on it, so you're going to want to make sure you are putting this up incorrectly. That's putting it in correctly, not putting it in incorrectly. Okay, so looking at this, the tab end will go up towards, or down should I say, towards where the body will eventually be. That just slots onto place there, and then we need to plug. Okay, I see the cables now need to be fed through the base. So we get one cable, two cables, and then our third cable. Okay, so once the cables have head through there, we need to fit in our circuit board, but my switch fell out, so I need to put that back in. Okay, then we need our circuit board, and then our wires will connect as 3.8, 310 and 3.9. They are all three different sized, so that should help, and there's a USB charging port there. So this will go in like so. Yes. Okay, so we need to try and get our wires and see if we can get those plugged in first. I'm a little concerned about the middle wire. I don't think I've got enough leeway here, so I'm going to pause this. I'm going to take a look at getting this fitted, and then we'll be back. And there we have our circuit board plugged in. They're three different sizes, so there's no way of mixing them up. They slot in easy enough, but you might want a pair of tweezers to help slide them into place. Power button keeps sliding out while I'm fiddling about with it, which is going to make screwing everything into place a little awkward, but we will manage. Okay, we now need to slide this down so that again, this is the bit which is going to be awkward because power button needs to sit in position while this is pushed down over it. There we go. So I don't know how well you can see that, but there is a power button on the circuit board, so that will need to line up with the power button here. Then you need 2 of the black PWB screws. A magnetic screwdriver will definitely help at this point, because you need to keep a gentle but firm pressure on the circuit board to keep it in place where you're screwing it, but equally you don't want to damage any of the chips or circuitry there. There we go. There we go. And there you go. What you should have at the end is that sitting in place with the USB charging point and the power button pressing the power tab, which you can hear it doing here. The only thing instructions don't call for this, but one thing I'm going to do right at this moment is make sure that my USB cable fits in without issue. The only reason I want to do that is because this way, if it wasn't aligned properly, I could fix it now before everything's assembled. But everything seems to be fine there. So now we need to take outstanding crescent shape from issue 2. And this will fit over and cover the circuitry. So ports facing down, so you've got the smooth side on show. 2 more of the black PWB screws. And screw. One and 2. There it is. It is. Okay. That's all nice and secure. Moving on, we now need the head support pin, which is that. And we need 2 rubber roll washers, one which will fit on the base and one will fit around the top part. There are 2 points. It's the second one, like that. And the other rubber washer will go at the base. Okay, and now we need to take our head support with the clip facing outwards. The pin will come up underneath. The Megazord head will sit on top with the left horn coming to rest over the top of that. Okay. This will be a little bit awkward. Okay. Awkward, but not impossible. So the pin comes all the way through. Then we take our final washer to fit over the top of that, like so. Then need to make sure this wire remains sticking out the top, which it is. Take the second horn and place that over the top, like so. So eventually these horns will close like that. I was just making sure that none of the wires are catching on it, which they're not. Then we need to take this point and make sure our connector is plugged in. With none of this screwed in, this is a bit of a fiddle because things are going to come loose. But I'm going to pause this while I get the wire connected, and then we'll be back. Okay. Oh, shoot. There we go. We're all back okay. Yep. There we go. Right, with the wire inserted, this will then clip into the top. You just want to be careful when you're doing this. You don't want the wire pulling or getting torn. So in theory, with the horns as far forward as they go, the head should, without any issue, he says, just connect into the various connection points. There we go. That's that. That's our Megazord head. Finally, we just need one of the big screws with a bolt, washer, whatever it's called, hooking through like so. And that will slide right down the bottom. Take a screwdriver and just tighten it in to place. Going to not in tight enough. I think that is in as tight as it will go. That holds it all into place. There's a twist on the neck support, and the horns should slide all the way back and forwards for its transformation. What I don't like is you can see the wire there. What I might try and do is put some tape or something in place so that that isn't visible, but I'll do that later. So there is the Megazord head, all nicely assembled. That can go to one side. And then we move on to the saber-toothed tiger head, side of the head. We need the eyepiece, what will be a clip for its ear, and the back of the head support. It appears that the lower jaw will be used for a subsequent issue. So, taking the saber-toothed tiger head, line up the eye, so the eye will just line up with these two pegs here. Then we take one of our PWM screws and screw this into place. One, there it is. That's nice and tight. Got a nice looking eye there. Our earpiece. This will only go in one way, so the sharpest point will be facing down. Just needs to line up. I'm just going to use the screwdriver to make sure it's pushed into position. You push until you hear a firm click, otherwise it will potentially pop out. And you can see here the clip needs to be coming as far out as it possibly can, that side. Take the internal joint for the head. This will line up those two with those two, so you are looking at it like that. And I've just realised the saber-toothed tiger head is metallic as well, so we are definitely getting more metal than just the Megazord head. It seems that potentially just the Mastodon isn't metal, but that might be down to either a weight issue or the fact that it's used as a shield accessory. So yeah, again, it's probably a weight issue that once the Megazord stood, it may struggle to hold the weight of a metal head in its arm. That's reasonable and understandable if that's the case. Imagine if you've got this posed on display for a length of time, it holding a metal head in its arm as a shield might eventually weaken the joints, which is something we certainly don't want. So yeah, with that thought in mind, actually I appreciate that the mastodon head may not be metal. There we have, and there we have our saber-toothed tiger head assembly done for issue 4. At the end of it, you'll be left with the head, the lower jaw, the Megazord head, which is now complete and should move freely with the horns moving as well. And finally, we should also have our remote control. And out of curiosity, this is too light to have one in, I think. It will take a watch battery, but there isn't one in here. So that's good to know. I suspect the transportation of those kind of batteries might be awkward for shipping purposes, although we have been getting obviously the rechargeable batteries. Anyway, coming back around for our final thoughts on this issue. 4 issues in, and we've now got the Megazord head complete, which is nice to see. And we are then moving to the very bottom of the Zord and now working on the saber-toothed tiger head. As I've mentioned in the previous video, I'm a little disappointed that Fanhome are jumping over the place in terms of the build, as we've seen with the Hachei's Dalek. That's been working, or seems to be working, from top down. This is different pieces of Zords over time. Part of me understands that you might have collectors who would quit subscribing after they've got one Zord. Seems very, very unlikely, but I'm assuming that's their reason for jumping about rather than giving us one Zord build at a time. One last thing I wanted to do this issue, since we've completed the Zord head, is bring in Hasbro's Zap Megazord just for a quick size comparison. So here we have the Zap Megazord. That's our head, and here you can see a size comparison of quite a substantial amount. The head is probably 3 times the size, 3 times the size as the Zap one. And since we've built it previously, this is the saber-toothed tiger wheel, or leg, sorry. You can see here that is actually bigger, is the same size as the entire leg unit for the Zord, and the head unit is probably about twice the size there. So this is going to be massive compared to other releases, which obviously at the price you're paying for this is something you would expect. Anyway, we now have Megazord head complete, and we will be moving on to other parts of the build. So thank you for watching, and I will be back soon.